Welcome to my kingdom on the InfiniteHeights Minecraft server. It's TheeRealDuke. We're doing a flyby of the cattle ranch. Here you can see the main farmhouse building. There's the barn. We are going to build it today. It's going to be sweet. Let's get to it. So the first thing I decided to try and do here was add a water feature. And I talked about maybe adding one towards the end of last episode, and I just, I punched a hole here and let the water flow. So, I kind of started, and then I was like, okay, let's get this water happening, and then I was like, wait, I'm gonna have to dig and do all this crap. So water got stopped up, and then I came down. You can see me blasting through the digging with my Giga Drill Breaker. We have the MCMMO plugin running on our awesome server, so I'm just using that to kind of, diggy, which works pretty well. It's pretty fast. And here I'm kind of just trying to figure out, like, okay, so is it going to be 1 deep, 2 deep, 3 deep? Do I need to dig down an extra level because I'm going to put some sand in? And so I was like, just to keep the, just to kind of maintain the shape that I have already, I'm just going to replace the dirt and the stone with sand as I go. And so that's what I kind of decided to do. And I was like, I'm just kind of chugging along, replacing as I go, just so I don't lose my place and make one too high or too low or anything like that. The decision, honestly, so now I'm just kind of sweeping it out a little bit here. The decision to make like a little beach kind of a thing, like a little shoreline, came a little bit later in the process, but I didn't, it was a little strange to just have just the water there, and I felt like I needed the sand kind of to make a solid border for the river. So river, stream, fountain, ends up being a little bit of a mix of those things. So I was like, oh, okay, if the waterfall's coming down here, then it's going to be a little bit deeper in the pool. Just go ahead and fill out more of that sand. Kind of mess a little bit with the shape of the pool down there too. And then I decided, okay, we're gonna make it in some way as if they, somehow the cattle ranchers figured out that there was a spring here, and so they kind of built it up a little bit. And now the fun of adding the water and the water source blocks begins. And this took quite a while. I recorded the whole thing, and it was just a waste of time. So boring. It was so boring. So here was when I decided to add add a little bit of a shoreline there. I don't know, shoreline. It's not a beach. I don't know. Knoll, sandy, riverside, riverbank, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just filling in, which is not too bad if you have 2 buckets and you pay attention to what you're doing. It can be done. It just takes time. What I was messing up here was I didn't have the lowest layers filled in. I'm actually doing it backwards from what I recommend doing it. I should have started at the bottom, filled up the lowest layers, and then the top layers will fill themselves in. I did not do that. So once I figured that out, though, it started smoothing out. So anyway, I finished that. And I actually carried it over into the horse farm, and you can see it just over to the right. You can see it just a touch of blue. But now I'm going in to line up the decorative oak trees, giant oaks, that I'm going to build, that I did around the horse ranch. If you saw my craftage series, my Let's Play on the craftage server, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you saw the horse farm, the horse ranch episode, you will also know episodes you'll know what I'm talking about there too. So just throwing in the saplings and the guides. So if you haven't seen either of those, any of those episodes, basically if you build a solid block 5 blocks high next to an oak sapling, it will force it to grow a giant oak virtually every time. So that's what I did. And then I just planted, you can see off to the right of the screen, I think, a little bit here. You can see just a dirt block there that saplings planted on, and then I just knock that dirt block out after the tree grows and put a log there, and it makes it look like a giant tree. I'm just filling in. This is a little bit difficult for me, but I was filling in the foundations here, and I'm just kind of thinking and looking, because I know under the foundations for the barn there's a big cavern, and I think I might have mentioned it last episode, but it is a substantial cavern, and it runs the entire length of the barn, and it actually goes partially underneath the house. So it took me a little bit to figure out what to do with it exactly, but we figure it out. So the design for the barn that I'm choosing is not really a medieval barn. So I did a bunch of research because I didn't actually know what a medieval style barn looked like, and they look pretty pathetic. They're just big cavernous houses to kind of house livestock. It's like one big room, cobblestone, timber, thatch roof. I thought that would be a little bit boring, so I wondered what it would look like if I translated a classic red barn, farmhouse barn. I should say, I guess, classic American red barn farmhouse. If I kind of translated that, I guess, into the medieval style that I've been using so far. And I think it looked pretty good. So I'm just using red clay blocks rather. Hardened, dyed red clay. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm just kind of zipping along here, making a big mistake because I got to come and break some of those, which I learned on this side. Break those blocks. So I do just basically two things that are characteristic of barns where I'm from, and that is a roof with 2 different pitches, which will make sense when I get to the roof, which is right now, and the red color. So I also add a steeple to the middle of the barn because I think that looks barn-like. So, you know, I'm kind of trying. It's, you know, I can't say that it's an authentic medieval barn, but I think it fits in the style, and I think it's easier to recognize that it's a barn. So the 2 pitches on the roof are this first one, which is at, I guess, technically a 45-degree angle from the stairs. And then there's 2 layers of stairs, and then 2 layers of half slabs, which are at half of 45 degrees, which is about 22.5 degrees slope. So that's kind of what we're doing. And you know this is my least favorite part. Oh God, I hate this. I hate it so. I don't hate it. I hate misplacing blocks. Because like that one, and that one, ugh. At least the half slabs are better, or faster anyway. So here we go. We switch it to half slabs. Zip, much better. Come back up to the next level. So, I mean, we finish off the roof with that. So now I'm adding the steeple. And, you know, I don't want it to be too big. I want it to fit in there. Just poking some holes. Throwing some fence posts in there. Light it up a little bit. Looks okay. What kind of roof should we put on it? Well, let's just throw something like this up there. A little tiny little, you know, wink right on there. No, that doesn't look right. So I drop that down one level here, you can see, so that you can see more exposed wood, and I leave it a little rounded off. Like, okay, I think this looks okay. Let's lower it a little bit, so it looks like it's penetrating the roof a little bit more. I think that looks a little bit better. Let's open these up to add a little bit more light kind of escaping from torches inside. And yeah, I think that looks good enough. So now the main entrance to the barn, and I like, you know, barn doors, double barn doors is something I like. So I kind of am just, you know, in here a little bit. Kind of breaking up the space. Now I build, obviously, you know this by now. If you don't know, though, that's okay. I build in odd numbers because I like having a middle. And I like that middle to be a block and not the space between two blocks, because I can build where a block is, but not in the space between. So I got to figure out how to get two big doors in there. So I put two double doors side by side, and those still line up okay and keep things centered. So I thought that looked pretty good. And meanwhile, on the inside, I'm just running some beams across the floor. I basically just paved the floor of the cavern that runs underneath, and we'll go ahead and you'll be able to see it when we do the walk around. It's not, you know, it's not too interesting. I'm just kind of trying to put a nice design in here, and I haven't really decided at this point what kind of farm it'll be, what kind of ranch it'll be, if it's going to be you know, for milking cows or for turning them into steaks. So I just made the inside look presentable, and then as I was flying around, and I came back to this actually the day after, the steeple was too small. It just was dwarfed by the rest of it, and it didn't really fit in the style. So I tore it down, made it a little bit bigger. I incorporated, you can see the log timber framing that I like to do. I think it fits in a lot better now. It's a little bit bigger. There's more room up top, so that's good. I get to do a little bit more of a roof, and then when I put the filigree at the top of the roof here, like I like to do, that looks more in proportion, and so that looks a lot better. So that's what I went with. We're just filling in some stuff, trying to make it look nice. And again, this looks so much better. It just looks so much better. I think that, again, the proportions on this were a really big factor. So one of the other things that's typical to the Big Red Barn is about halfway up the side of the barn, there's always a loading area, and there's usually a big ramp associated with it. Now, since on the other side of the barn, there's a little waterfall, and it drops off very steeply. That's not really a plausible location for this ramp. So over basically behind the house here, I felt was a better location. So kind of build up a little platform, and this will load the feed hay, the feed grains. When we go through the walkthrough, when we do the walkthrough at the end, you'll be able to see in the top floor there's a storage area here. So I just kind of build that platform, pop back from the inside, bust out that wall, throw in two more doors here, kind of play up this kind of industrial use entrance. Here we go. Door number 1, door number 2. Looking pretty good. I think those work okay. Just kind of trying to put up some finishing touches there. Looks decent. And go ahead and finish off the side and the bottom here. Throw in some gravel around the foundation like we do. Kind of tie it together into the rest of the barn. And this little area, you know, honestly, this area is not really visible as you're walking by on the street from the outside, but that's okay. That's, you know, this is part of the detail, and it may be something that very few people will see, but I think those people that do stumble back here and find this will really appreciate it. And I feel good knowing it's there. And here it is, the finished product. What do you guys think? I got some little food and water stashes, little feed stations around. Not too shabby, huh? I think we did all right. I feel really good about it, but there's a lot to see on the inside, so let's take a look, see what you guys think. Okay, so starting over here by the horse ranch, which you recognize, I know. There's one of my horses, Duke's horse. I think Duke's donkey's here too. Yeah, donkey. I want to start over here to show you guys the continuation of this pond slash stream kind of thing. And I close it off here. Obviously, I don't want anything sneaking in, because if a cow, you know how dumb cows are. If a cow would get caught in this, area down here, anywhere near here, they just be shoved over here, and cows are idiots. So, but yeah, anyway, so there's that. Looks pretty cute. Pretty cute. So then here's the approach. We got the lanterns like we did along here with the tall trees. We got them over here too. And I made them a little bit taller because I wanted you to be able to see a lot more. Because one of the main views of the house is actually from that pathway, and we're going to walk up there. But the house is also up on a hill, so we're able to see it from quite a distance. But with this one, you'll be able to walk up here, and there's just not a whole lot of reason for you to walk up this way except to get here. So you can walk in front of the horse ranch, a bunch of ways. So anyway, let's get back to here. So, not bad, right? Not bad. Let's just hop the fence. Blip. I don't have a little bridge for the cows to get across this, and I don't know if cows would use a bridge in real life, but that's something I might want to think about adding. I tried off camera to do a couple of them, and I couldn't make them look like they were not over a koi pond or that kind of a thing, So I'm just gonna wait. Maybe a design will come to me later, and I'll throw it in. But I have a couple little feeding stations, I guess we'll call it, and little watering holes you saw me making. Or did you? No, I think that was off camera too. Yeah, that was off camera. And just to spread some light around. Over in the horse ranch, if you remember, if you don't, I'm gonna show you. I had this tree down by this single watering hole here, and it's got the lanterns kind of hanging there. And I thought for a second, like, oh, I could just put those lanterns in again, but I wanted to have a slightly different vibe from a cow ranch, cattle farm, cattle farm. So I did this little setup, and I figured maybe because the cows don't have individual pens like the horses do, maybe we'll have more food spread around, so we'll spread some light around too. So there's those. Then we'll come around the back way here. There's another one over here with a huge tree. Another tree back here, but not another feeding thing. I don't feel like, because the feeding stations kind of take up a little bit of space, and I didn't want to try and cram one of those in here, because then it would be like touching the house foundation. So I was like, you know what, let's not jam something if it doesn't really fit and it doesn't need to be there. So I think with like 3 feeding stations we're fine. So you can see over here I added in a farm loading area, a hay loading area. So we got some rope hanging here and some hay bales, so we can have, someone, if we come inside here, we can have someone up here unloading the hay, store the hay up top here for the winter months. I don't really know how a barn actually works. I know a couple people on the server that do. They will probably make fun of me for my lack of knowledge here, but that's okay. That's okay. It looks pretty good, and it looks like it's kind of a functioning thing, so I'm good with it how it is. So we kind of come down here, and then I'll show you around the inside here. So every barn I've ever been in has like really high ceilings and feels very open and spacious. So over here where the hay gets loaded in, I try to do that. I did this little beam thing that I like to do with the upside down stairs. I think it looks solid there. Looks pretty cool. And again, that's just where we just were with the hay bale, in case you're turned around in here. And then this is kind of open in here. I figured cows can just roam in and out. And I was talking with Moldern, one of the other players on the server, and he asked what kind of farm it'll be. Will it be basically a feed place for a slaughterhouse, or will it be, a dairy? And I could put dairy milking stations in here where I could like jam cows in these little pens and stuff. I just don't feel the need to. I don't feel like that's totally necessary, so I'm just gonna let it ride. We have this kind of open space down here, which is not necessary, really, but this open space, this cavern was mostly here and just part of the natural landscape. So I did very little work to actually transform this. And then it just, you know, the general shape of this kind of, you can see, continues on over there. So, let's see. What else did I want to show you guys while I was here? We saw the stream. I didn't know what to do with this either. I don't like streams or springs that just spout out randomly from the top of mountains, usually, because I always wonder, like, where does that water come from? You know? But I thought this looks okay here. And then I figured, like, okay, maybe over the generations they kind of made it into something. You know, so I added some stone brick there, and I think it looks pretty good. It could be a fountain also that they just have kind of flowing into this stream, which would work. But what do you guys think? You guys got any ideas for a bridge I could use here? I just, you know, I needed a red barn. I needed a big red barn. I want one in real life, and I have one in Minecraft, one step closer, I guess. I thought the cupola was necessary. What do you guys think of this little detail here, too? This was just a really long stretch of roof to have no special little filigree at the end, so I just kind of jazzed it up a smidge to kind of, you know, kind of add a little special something. And I think it worked out, but I had an awesome time making the barn and making the cattle ranch farmhouse. I hope you dudes enjoyed watching too. That is it for this episode of my Let's Build series. What do you think we'll be working on next? Well, I hate a couple of things. I hate a lot of things. And a couple of things. I hate how my chicken farm is not done yet, but to be honest, I don't like the shape of that as it is anyway, because I feel like there should be a couple chicken coops, you know, and some flat land for chickens to roam, and this doesn't really have that. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep that way for right now, because I also hate how, now I like the design of, this is my sheep farm, and I like the design of it. I like how usable it is. But if I'm honest, it takes up too freaking much space. And it's not that I have a bunch of other stuff that I can cram in there. I could just, you know, maybe make the space more efficiently used, I think. I think the farmhouse for this could be bigger, and I think it could be right here, maybe across the street from them. And then I think the chicken farm, actually, or maybe the chicken farm could be, I don't know, you know, like the chicken farm needs to be bigger and flatter. I got decisions to make, but I also want to, and let's go ahead and speed this up here. Hang on, we'll go a little fast. So one of the plans for the castle, oh, we can see X-ray style. One of the plans I have for the castle is to have offshoots coming from these areas kind of pointed out with towers and stuff. And you know, there in all the great medieval castles that I've seen, which is admittedly not a huge amount but a lot, in all the great medieval castles I've seen, truly great and rich families have their own cathedrals built into the compound, and they're always small and they fit in, right? And even though the huge cathedral is there, that's more for the people. So if there was an actual duke living in this castle, he would probably be loaded enough to have his own cathedral. Not necessarily a cathedral, but maybe a chapel. And so I kind of want to build, see how we have this kind of pier system happening for this tower over here? Something similar to that, kind of kicking out maybe over here. I want to have a cool port kind of thing going on in here. But there's a lot of space in my land over here, so I do want to figure out how to make that happen. So I don't know what's going to be next. I have a lot of ideas. Let me go ahead and fly over to the cathedral. Go for a walk inside here. I don't know if I've shown you guys in here. If we can get this door to open, please. There we go. So we are inside the cathedral. I haven't really shown anybody this yet. Let me know what you guys think. And this, yes, was all built by hand. There are mistakes all over it. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Again, thank you dudes so much for watching. I truly hope you guys found this YouTube tutorial video that I did useful. If you did, give me a like. Thank you so much for taking a second to check it out. Again, I really do appreciate your view. I appreciate every view, every like, every comment and sub. I need you to understand. I really genuinely do. So thank you. For this episode, though, that's it for me. I'm TheeRealDuke, and I'm out.